Hey guys, this is Jan Koch, and today I'm here with Jeremy Frandsen, the co-host of Internet Business Mastery and the host of a new training program called Freedom Business Blueprint. And I'm very glad to have you on the show, Jeremy.
All right, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So, what is the Freedom Business Blueprint?
Well, the Freedom Business Blueprint is kind of our answer to a problem that we've seen in the internet business community, and that is there are a certain amount of people that when you give them the training to start a freedom business, as we call it, there were still some people that didn't finish and didn't get that dream and that success that they wanted. And we wanted to know why, because we knew that the content of how to put up a business, how to, start the website, how to write the content, how to socially engage with people, we knew that worked every single time.
Hmm?
But it was there was still this piece that allowed people to not succeed. That's the only way I could think of saying it. And we wanted to fix that. So the Freedom Business Blueprint is, after 8 years of doing this, it's us talking to people who did succeed, students that did, and even students that didn't make it work for them. We wanted to know what exactly was missing, and the Freedom Business Blueprint is what we found after years and years and years of putting this together. We've had over 5,000, just over 5,000 students, so we had a lot of people to ask. So the
That's
Freedom
nice.
Business Blueprint is the answer to that, and it's about finding and understanding what a freedom business is, and
Hmm?
also understanding your own mindset and making sure to design a business around what you're naturally good at, I guess you could say, or
Yeah.
the way you naturally want to help people, and then also to find the audience and find the solution that you can offer that audience once you know what we call your single motivating purpose.
Okay, so the freedom business is not about working just 4 hours per week like Tim Ferriss is preaching it, but it's working about on something that you're passionate about and something that you deeply
Yes.
care about and that even gives you more power as you're working and isn't exhausting.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
how do we find that when we're starting just from scratch? And when I take myself as an avatar, I'm about to quit my job next week,
Okay.
and
Wow. Nice.
assuming that I was starting out just right now, how would the Freedom Business Blueprint help me to get started?
Well, we're going to talk about what actual internet business is and the way we do business. Now, a lot of people, and this was one of the things we were finding it was a problem, is people have the mindset of, okay, I have to make a certain amount of money, and it's about the money and how fast can I make the money.
Mm,
And we were finding that if that was someone's focus and they didn't understand the mindset behind it, and they also didn't understand um, what it was they wanted to give and what audience that they could give that to, they were having a problem because they would just go, okay, I guess I like scuba diving. I guess I'll build a business around scuba diving. And really, it was like, well, how much money can I make from people that want to scuba dive as fast as possible? And that mindset it's really hard because if things don't happen the exact second you think, um, you have a problem. If let's say let's say it goes well and you do start making money, a year or two down the line, if you didn't have the passion behind it, we found that people's motivation would start waning. And then instead of, being excited to build their business and really excited to create value for this audience, let's say the scuba diving audience, their passion would wane and they'd start looking for other projects and maybe their business would start, really suffering from that. And it happened to me. Like the very first business I started, I ended up selling information products on eBay.
mm-hmm.
And I actually had the thing that most internet business people hope happen. I did really well. I became successful, so to speak, right? Like I was making really good money, and at my top point, I was making about 16,000 a month, which sounds
Oh,
freaking
nice.
awesome.
I'd
It
love to
sounds
have that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's what I also had. I was working at least 12 hours every single day, and it was doing stuff I didn't enjoy. Like there
Mm.
was a whole bunch of, shipping products, and I had to make the products and ship the products. And 12 hours a day of doing that after a year is not enjoyable anymore. And I'm not even talking weekends off. If I wanted to
Oh,
stay up to date, I had to work Saturday, and Sunday was kind of my makeup catch-up day.
oh shit.
And I did not know about lifestyle design. I mean, that's one of the things we teach now is designing the lifestyle you want before you design your business. So you can know these things. Like I made
Yeah,
that mistake, and it's a weird position to be in because the business is bringing in money. You're like, okay, well, this internet business thing in one way works. Like that was my proof, I guess, that you could actually sell something from the internet, but I had no lifestyle whatsoever. You
mm,
know, I mean, like I was just working all the time. If I even took a half a day off, I would pay for it the next day by working 16 hours to make up
oh,
for it. Yeah, so this is, we wanted to make sure that didn't happen to people. Because if your business works, you don't want to hate it. I
yeah,
mean, like you don't want to end up in the same position as if you were in a job you don't like.
yeah.
And so, the Freedom Business Blueprint was also trying to solve that problem as well as the mindset problem.
Okay, so you're teaching people basically how to find something that they're good at and that they can solve problems with, because obviously you need to solve problems before you can start making any money.
Yeah.
And
And not even just good at, it might be something you want to be good at.
yeah,
We have students that start blogs. We've got one, his name is Pat Flynn from Smart Passive Income. When he started his blog, he didn't really know what he was doing. He actually chronicled what he was trying to do to make money. And
mm,
now most people know who Pat Flynn is. Like he's a huge name. And he started with that, just that desire to be a successful entrepreneur. And he chronicled it and talked about his progression. And for him, that's the way he became, the big worldwide superstar he is
yeah.
now.
Actually, he's the reason why I joined Internet Business Mastery. That was the
Nice.
first time I heard about you.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah. He's a good guy talking about us. He was one of our big top first students that actually really followed the system and did really well with it in a business outside of teaching internet business. He had a leads program teaching architects how to go green and pass this green
Mm,
test, and that was the first place he started really making money. And actually, he did really well pretty quickly. He found the right audience, and he used to be an architect, so he had that passion, a bit of passion for that, at least he enough to know what they needed, and he found the solution to give to them, and they would trade value for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll teach people how to create value, how to solve the problems of other people's needs.
Yes.
Um, how does that start? Because when I think of my past self, I couldn't even imagine having a blog or just starting a blog, but don't know what to blog about. And would you just start like Pat Flynn chronicling your progress, or is there any specific like method or principle that people can apply how to find something to blog about and how to turn their skills into profit?
Well, one of the things we talk about again is the single motivating purpose.
Mm,
And we very much start with that idea. And I'm going to give you kind of a definition here. And really, a single motivating purpose is the essence of what you love to do and what you do best. So, first, you want to know that before you start going after an audience. And once you know what that is, and again, we have a very detailed way of finding that, that you actually were just saying that you went through just recently, right?
yeah.
Yeah, and once you get that, then you're going to start going looking for an audience that you would love to work for, not just to make money right away, but what if it's successful? What if it's still going in 5 years? Like we want this to be a lifestyle business that lasts absolutely as long as you want it to last. So there's a very specific process of trying to find the things that you're interested in, things that you have skills in you don't even realize are of value. Like we actually just talked to one of our students today, John Kenny, who when he was trying to figure out, he's like, what knowledge do I have that anybody would pay for? And he happens to work at Disney World in Florida. And he knows all the
Nice.
background secrets. Had no idea it was of value. And as a complete matter of fact, I happened to put up something, let's say 6 months ago, saying, "Hey, I'm thinking of going to Disney World. Any tips from anybody?" And he was like, yeah, I've got some tips. So I ended up talking to him, and he realized, I mean, I ended up being his audience, his avatar, we
Yeah.
call it. And he was saying, well, don't you know about Disney World? And I was like, I know it's in Florida, and I know it's Disney. I don't
Mickey
know.
Mouse is there.
Mickey Mouse is there. Yeah. And that's about all I know. And he could, he was like, wow. He suddenly realized how much value this knowledge that he completely takes for granted. He works there. He's a part of it every day. He didn't realize he had that major, major value. And now he's, coming out with a product about all the behind the scenes secret, which there are actually a lot of little, like, insider secrets, which is perfect. That's a perfect thing to be able to, create that value and sell that value to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Okay, so we have, or you're guiding the students of the Freedom Business Blueprint to find that single motivating purpose. And
Yes.
assuming they found it and they found something they want to work for, let's say, 3 to 5 years in, and they found something they're good at and that they can provide value in, how do they find their target audience?
Well, there's a lot to it actually. It depends on if they were their target audience at one point. That's obviously an easy way. They can think back to when they started, for instance, with us in Internet Business Mastery. We were both at one point, beginners.
Yeah,
So we were able to at least start by thinking back and going, okay, what was our problem? What were the issues we had when we started? What were the fears we had? And those were things that we were able to recount. Now, nowadays with the internet, if you weren't your target audience originally, there's Facebook groups, there's or Google Hangouts, there's forums. You can go in and start asking questions. Start saying, what are some of your problems? Like what makes you want to do this thing? What don't you know? I mean, that was one of the things with John. He was like, okay, so what do you want to know? And I was like, when you land in Disney World, then what? Like, I don't want to
yeah,
just take a shuttle. Like, what's the best way to get there? And he's like, oh, he had all these tips for that. I mean, it was like every little single thing. Now, had he went into a forum of people trying to, let's say, design their Disney World tips, or I'm sorry, their Disney World trips, he could have asked those questions. What do you need
yeah.
to know? I work there, and you can do that. There's forums for almost everything. I can't even think of anything. If you were into zombie cheerleader movies, I don't know. You can find a forum for just about anything. I can't think of anything that you can't. But that's where you would go and start asking those questions, gathering that information, and then you can start writing to those problems.
Ah, nice. And I bet you
Yeah.
have lots of more valuable advice in the Freedom Business Blueprint that
Yeah, obviously
you
we have
obviously can't
everything.
share. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So, what is the power of knowing that single motivating purpose? Because when I think of quitting my job and not having a so-called secure income,
Yeah.
um, knowing that I'm working on something that's fun is one thing, but knowing that I need to earn money is another thing.
Yeah.
What's so important about knowing my single motivating purpose when it comes to earning real money?
Well, intrinsic motivation is one of the top things because motivation was one of the things that we found being a major problem, especially actually when you weren't earning the money yet, when you were in the absolute beginning phases, is because when you're working on, the website, and let's say you're not a website designer,
Hmm?
the enjoyment of working on the website is low. Right? Like for me, I wasn't a coder. All I had done, this was, oh, wow, 10 years ago, actually
Hmm?
10 years to the day. This is my anniversary of when I quit my job 10 years ago. I knew how to do
Wow.
email on the internet and do a little bit of search on, I don't know what it was then. It was Netscape or Alta Vista.
Yeah,
Google
something
wasn't
like
big.
that.
Yeah. So that's all I knew. So the idea of learning HTML, that's what was the big thing back then. I mean, we
Hmm.
didn't even have WordPress, which makes it so easy now. But there were days when it was incredibly hard for me because I'm like, I don't want to learn to code.
Yeah.
I just want to do this internet business, or I don't know how to set up an autoresponder series. Like, I don't know how to do certain things. But it was the intrinsic motivation of actually really wanting to serve an audience and create that value for them that really helped me get through both the times when I wasn't making money right in the beginning, and even the times when it's tough later. Like right now, we're launching a major product, and there's a lot to do. There's no 4-hour work week, like the book says
Yeah.
for us right now, because we're absolutely intrinsically motivated to help people, and sometimes it's work. It's a lot of work, and keeping that motivation comes from having that intrinsic motivation.
Mm.
And that's part of what the SMP, the single motivating purpose, helps you have. Because even on my desktop, I have inspire purpose driven action. That's one part of my single motivating purpose. And that's what I wake up going, okay, how can I inspire that purpose driven action? And that helps me through any of the tough parts. It saves with overwhelm. It helps keep you focused. Because when I first started, before I knew my single motivating purpose, here's what would happen. I finally found some entrepreneurs to be around, and every one of them had a cool idea. And every one of them, like, we were so excited with it. We all wanted to be a part of everything.
Yeah.
They'd go, do you want to do this with me? And I'd go, sure. I'll do everything. And now with the single motivating purpose, I know my focus. If it doesn't fall within my, what I understand my single motivating purpose to be, I don't do it. I know how to focus now because of that.
Yeah. And even knowing your single motivating purpose makes it even easier to focus, because my single motivating purpose is something like helping employees to quit their jobs. Obviously, that's my situation, and I know the pains of being employed in a job that you don't
Yeah.
particularly like. And I could write a book. I could build a membership website. I'm creating my own software right now. My first iOS app, and I don't know how to focus on any of those because I want to do all.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's it gets to the point where it's a matter of also prioritizing once
Yeah.
you have your focus. Because
Yeah.
believe me, we have like 100 things we want to do. We even want these like worldwide membership or mastermind groups that we could even fly to from time to time. We just have so many things, but we now know how to, with the focus, prioritize. Okay, what's
Yeah.
got to be first? Well, we have to have our funnel first and our membership site completely solid, and then we can go to the coaching. Then we can go to the mastermind group. So that's basically, how I'm doing it now. It's from focus to prioritizing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, coming back to the single motivating purpose, what if I find that my purpose isn't unique? What if somebody else is already doing what I'm doing?
Well, the thing the thing about that is uh, it doesn't have to be unique particularly. Like I've heard, I don't know, maybe 200 single motivating purposes, and none of them are exactly alike. Like for instance, my business partner and I are actually really similar. Like I'm about inspiring purpose-driven action, and I've got his here. Let me get his to get it right. He shares knowledge and resources, and both of us are doing this to help people increase their freedom, fulfillment, and with him it's purpose, and with mine it's happiness. So they're really, really similar.
Mm.
But just the fact that he's about sharing knowledge and resources, and mine's about inspiring, that's different,
Yeah,
even though it's so similar.
it's
So
slightly, but it's different. Yeah.
yeah, and so it completely changes our approach. I absolutely love talking about the inspiration side. If somebody has a fear, I want to talk about that. Now, he likes sharing what the resources and tools and this kind of thing. So, if you want your site to do something very specific, he knows the exact plugin, right,
Mm.
to put on your WordPress site. He knows those exact tools, whereas I'm not as much about the tools and resources specifically. I like to write those down and then look them up, but I'm more about the inspiration side.
Yeah.
So even those minor differences changes things, and your personality is going to be different. There's 100 people teaching how to do internet business, and they're all slightly different. They all have their, everybody has their different take on things, their different ways of looking at life. Like I'm working on a post right now about internet business and how everyone needs to have one of these because of science, right? Like,
Okay.
okay, so 100 people could write about why you should have an internet business, but very few people are talking about the fact that our lives are being extended right now because of science. So we can't retire at 65. When you
Uh-huh.
and I are, well, I'm older than you clearly, but even when I get to 65, there's going to be no such thing as retirement if we live 120 years.
Yeah, that's
Right?
true.
So I have this different angle that, and even the way I say it, let's say two of us even decide to write about the same thing, we're going to have different angles based on who we are as people. So unique is still going to happen, even if we had word for word the same SMP, which I've never seen yet.
So you're saying that there's no need to be afraid of having a non-unique SMP.
Yeah, it's not about being unique, it's about being you, if that makes sense. It's a different
Yeah.
mindset shift. We want to find out, we want to help people find exactly who they are and how they express themselves and what their passion is, and then design businesses around that. Regardless of if, two people want to start scuba diving businesses, teaching people how to travel the world, they're still going to have their own separate and different angles. Because as you can see, you found us through Pat Flynn, right?
Yeah.
One of our students. But some people like the way he speaks. They like the way he focuses, what he focuses on in business. And some people like the way we focus. I mean, it's always going to be like that. There's going to be some people that just generally attract to people differently. And that's a great thing, right?
Yeah.
Because then you can be you and have people come to you from that.
Ah, nice.
Yeah.
So, what can people expect after they've gone through the business blueprint, the Freedom Business Blueprint? What's the end result, if there is any?
Yeah, they they understand that they want a freedom business. They understand a bit about what we call internet alchemy, which
Hmm.
is how to create that value and receive the value. And then they're going to have their single motivating purpose, and then they're going to have their audience, which is basically also their niche, because so many people are like, I don't know what niche I'm going to go into. And this
Everyone.
solves that. Yeah, I mean, like that's the I don't even I don't know. I guess there have been a few people that are just like, okay, I know my niche. I guess I'll do this because I already happen to be passionate about rock climbing.
Hmm.
But that's really that's not normal.
Yeah.
Most people, have to struggle and try and figure out what their niche is. And so this fixes that. You get your audience plus the solution you're going to solve for your audience. So when you're done, you're completely ready to now start your business.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That that sounds like a pretty kick-ass program that you're setting up right now.
Yeah, I'm totally passionate about it. Like finally filling that hole. Because again, we've had a membership site now for almost 6 years, and that was the one thing. There was just still this piece that seemed to be missing. So to have that piece filled, it's incredibly exciting.
Yeah, I can definitely imagine. Okay, thank you so much, Jeremy, for sharing your specific knowledge with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on.